Hi everyone, welcome to my craft room. Today I'll be making this Farmhouse chalkboard dupe. It is from Kohls and theirs was $155 on sale for $83 I think, and mine costed under $10. So if you'd like to see how I made it, let's get started. From the Dollar Tree, I used a foam board, a dry erase board, these fans that I picked up around the 4th of July, and this wood car. It looks like a camper to me. And this wall sticker that says home. From Home Depot, I picked up 3 packs of the paint sticks, and the paint is the color ink, elephant, white, and mineral. So the first thing I started on was to cut off that curve on all of the paint sticks, and I did use 8 of them. Then I took a pair of scissors and I cut off those little wheels. Now be careful if you remake this. Those little wheels go flying. Just watch your eyeballs. I did have to go fetch one. Then I gave all my pieces a coat of the white chalk paint. And the reason I gave everything a base coat is because I'm using different textures here. The back of the dry erase board is MDF board, and then the paint sticks are wood. So I wanted to make sure once I painted everything and dry brushed, they all looked the same color. Now with the color elephant, mineral, and white, I dry brushed all of my pieces. I just had fun with it. This part is just so relaxing to me. I love doing this dry brushing. And if you wanted to remake this and you wanted to use different colors, darker or lighter, I just have one suggestion to create this exactly how I did, and that is to make sure that you're dry brushing your grain in the same direction. So if you wanted your barn door to be horizontal instead of vertical like mine, you just want to make sure once all your pieces are put together that all the wood grain is going in one direction. I hope I'm making sense. So for instance, on mine, my barn door is going, my lines are going vertical. So the 2 paint sticks that will be on each side of my barn door will be also vertical. And then all my other pieces I dry brushed vertical, but my paint sticks are going to be horizontal, if that makes sense. And you'll see that in the end what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you want to remake this, it is such a nice piece. Honestly, it came out better than I anticipated, and just have fun. Then taking an emery board, I just sanded down the dowels that were sticking out of these wheels just to make them flat so they sit flush against the project. Then taking the color ink, I painted the wheels one color. I didn't paint the back, just the top and the sides. Now measuring my foam board 16.5 inches down, I gave it a cut. So my board is now 16.5 by 20 inches. Then I took the rolling cutter from the Dollar Tree and gave that a cut. And I must say it works pretty darn good. Now, I wasn't putting a lot of pressure because I didn't have anything behind my board to protect my table, and I didn't want to scratch it, scratch it more than it already is. So anyway, if I was to put pressure down, it would have cut right through this foam board like butter. Now I'm just taking my paint sticks and kind of arranging them where I want them on my board. So as you can see, the streaks going vertical are going on the two ends of my board, and then 3 of the paint sticks there. I'm going to put 3 on the top, leaving a tiny little space on the ends, making, just a little, so it's not sitting exactly flush. So there, 2 tiny pieces will be sticking out on each end of my board. And then 2 paint sticks on the bottom with 1 laying on top. And then now I am measuring my folder that I'm going to be using as the chalkboard to make sure it's going to fit underneath those paint sticks. And you'll see that in a sec. It's kind of hard to see in the camera here, but I did want the barn door to slightly be pulled, even though it's not going to really roll. I wanted it to be slightly pulled to the right, so some of the chalkboard would just slightly be peeking through on the left side, just to make it a little more realistic. So that is the side I started on because most of it will be covered, and I didn't know how this Mod Podge was going to work on this folder. So I just here making sure that the chalkboard was in place. I took the Mod Podge and just painted it on, and I have to say I'm sorry, it's not Mod Podge, it's tacky glue. I took my tacky glue and I just gave it a good coat. Now it was way too thick for my liking, so what I did on the right one is I watered it down with some water, and that worked out much better. The one on the left side tended to bubble because there was just too much glue on the back. So just a heads up, if you want to remake this, I would water down the tacky glue. Here I'm showing you how I watered down my tacky glue. I just put a little bit of water in a bowl, added the glue, and just gave it a stir. And you don't want it too watery, so just keep that in mind. Then taking my hot glue gun, I am ready to glue all my pieces in place. So I started on the bottom to line it up with the foam board, and then next I took the piece that sits right on top of that paint stick and just proceeded to glue all my pieces down. placing the barn door where I wanted it. See how the chalkboard is peeking through on the left there. So anyway, I placed my barn door on before I glued on those last two paint sticks, because I wanted to make sure it was framed around my barn door, making it look like there was a groove where the barn door would slide. So I glued the last two paint sticks down, as you can see me doing here. Then I glued down my handle. And this handle was only $1.49 at Home Depot. I did end up using some E6000. The hot glue did not want to stick to that metal. So now I am deciding how long I want my little pieces, which would have been the fan. I took the fan apart and I'm just using the two black pieces and marked it, and just took my scissors or my wire cutters and just snipped it off, making sure they were both the same size. If you can't find these little fans in the Dollar Tree anymore, you could always use a black strip of ribbon, or you can make it out of Jenga blocks. Just be creative and try to use something that looks like a bracket. I then sanded down the place where I cut just to make it square. Then measuring 2 inches in on each side of the barn door, marking a spot, and that is where the wheels will be placed, on the very top there, making it look like it rolls on that groove. And then taking some E6000, I glued on my little brackets right in the center of the little wheels, just like that. Now I was ready to apply my sticker. So I placed the one side, marking it where I wanted. I did have to remove it, and it did remove well. It didn't take any of the paint off. I had it too far up, so I did end up sliding it down just a bit, and it was that simple. Now you don't see the brackets on my piece just yet, and there you can see how the handle did not hold. So here is where I'm adding my E6000 and a little hot glue just to keep it in place until that E6000 dried. And the pieces, now the brackets for the wheel, I am going to take the E6000. I did try super glue in the beginning and it just did not want to stick. So I did end up using the E6000. And I did let that dry overnight. And here it is, all done. It is such a nice piece, and I did write a little list on my chalkboard on the right side, just and a little reminder to, make a doctor's appointment. I just think this is such a pretty piece, and it's very sturdy. Now, I will be hanging mine with a command strip, but you could always add a hanger to the back. Just be mindful that it is foam board, so you just want to be careful. And then that chalkboard, you just use a chalkboard writer, and it just wipes right off with a wet cloth. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time. Bye.